So let's get off into my piece for my first 10 minutes, which is based a lot around this book, Never Going Back, in which I happen to be a co-author. It's been out for 6 months now, but it's still very relevant. And essentially what we did was took a look at what's happened during the pandemic, how people's attitudes to work have changed, and what people want to do as a result. And guess what? A high percentage of people across industries, across countries, across levels in the organization, a high percentage of people are saying, we don't want to go back. We used to do this. We used to commute every day. We used to be in crowded places. Even if with vaccination and everything else, the pandemic has gone, we still need a way of working that doesn't involve us in this antisocial crowding and a way of life that is stressful. We have experienced working from home for many people, not everybody, but for many people that's been a relief from some of the problems of commuting, and people have found that there are new ways of getting things done. So that's what we cover in the book. That's the commercial for the book over. So what I want to do is just put work into perspective a bit, which is what's happened over the pandemic, is that people have sat back and thought, where does work fit into my life? I suddenly find I have more time with my family because I'm at home when the children go to bed in the evening. I'm not getting home when they're already asleep. And I can fit work around home, as opposed to always having had, for many career professionals, work comes first, home fits around work. Now it's kind of the other way around a bit. Why can't work be more flexible to fit into the rest of my life? Why does it always have to be so rigid? Why does work have to win in this work-life balance? And I need to look after myself. And as a leader, I need to look after my people. Well-being, prior to the pandemic, was something which was nice to do, something HR would push. We need to make sure our people are not too stressed, blah, blah. But now, all of a sudden, it's very personal. People realizing that it's not just their health because of viruses, COVID, whatever, but also just the mental stress of being separated from people working remotely, being locked in some cases. Mental health has become something much more important, something that serious leaders in organizations need to be thinking about. And people's views of where they live changes. If I don't need to live near my work anymore, I can live further away. I can go live in a village. I can participate in my community around my home, and how work fits into people's personal lives changes as well. So people are questioning the outdated industrial age practice of commuting into work when we're in the information age, and you can do a lot of that work without having to travel to see people. And so they're saying, what is important in life? Why go back to the old way of working when I can spend time with my family and get the best of both worlds? I still do a very effective job. I still meet my colleagues when I need to. I'm producing results, but I'm also having a satisfying personal life. It's not one or the other. It's kind of both. And in the process, I'm traveling less. I'm doing my bit to save the planet. And that's becoming more and more important. Obviously, it's very much in the news of the COP26 conferences and so on, but also just as a corporate responsibility, more and more we're recruiting young people into the workforce who are much more environmentally conscious. You go to graduate interviews, they don't ask about the long-term career and their pension, they ask about the ethical values of the organization. What is the view of the products that you make, the services you provide, what are they doing for the environment, and so on. And so it's not just a public image thing, it's a practical thing in terms of satisfying employees as well. So the whole area of, we used to just get on a plane and travel halfway around the world for a half-day meeting with somebody, spend 2 days traveling, staying in hotels, polluting the planet for a short meeting. Yes, Zoom, Teams, video conferencing was all available prior to the pandemic, but suddenly we realized that you can do a lot of things remotely Even international politics can be done by people appearing remotely. So we've learned to live with. It's not perfect seeing people in 2 dimensions instead of 3 dimensions, but it does substitute a lot for distance, and particularly traveling and polluting the planet at the same time. The other thing that employees have realized is not just that they can work remotely, but it's they can work without having close supervision. They've had to be trusted to get on with doing the job. Managers can't stand over them and micromanage them anymore. So people have been able to manage themselves. And consequently, they have had a level of freedom that they don't want to give up. And it's been very productive. Many managers thought, well, in the pandemic, people will go home, priorities will change, they won't work hard, or they won't be able to communicate, they won't attend all the meetings they used to attend, and things will go downhill. Actually, all the surveys I've seen say that at worst, productivity has stayed the same. At best, it has improved because people doing knowledge work on computers particularly can do that from anywhere and can do it in a more effective way if they choose how they do it. They have more autonomy, and also they can not have to go to so many physical meetings. Maybe they don't have so many interruptions, and they can do that. Doesn't work for everybody. If you have a crowded home with no spare space to work, and working from home is not the ideal for everybody, but for many people that does work, and so it becomes very productive. And therefore, people are saying, why go back to going to a less productive pattern where I spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day commuting door to door, maybe wasted, stressful time, polluting the planet, when I could do maybe 2, maybe 3 days a week at home. Why go to the old way of doing it? Just because before we had computers and telephones, we used to have to talk to each other face to face. We used to have to pass bits of paper to each other. Now we don't need to do that. Let's think about work in the 21st century context. But what are a lot of leaders doing about it? Are we just going to go back to the old way of doing things? I think many leaders were putting their head in the sand and saying, right, wait, let's see when this change, this interruption is all over, we'll go back to the old way, which is the right way. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But guess what? Employees are not going to come with you. 30% of the workforce typically in many surveys are saying, if I can't work flexibly from now on, I'm going to work somewhere else. And people with talent will go. They will take their talents to a more flexible, more agile employer. So here's a key for HR. If HR is not already doing it, they should be promoting the more agile, more flexible, more networked organization as a business benefit, not just something that's good for people, but something that's good for the business. It's good for product line, for the bottom line. It's good for productivity. And this is a great opportunity, I think, for HR to step up as a business partner, which is, I think, how I see it's part of the theme for today.